All right, we now welcome on 2025 Latin America AM winner and the low AM at the U.S. Open. Not a big deal. Justin Hastings. Justin, what's going on, my man?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. We were talking beforehand, and you're out there at Royal Portrush about to play in the Open Championship. Able to get some time by yourself on Portrush before kind of the festivities start. Is that right?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get in on Friday afternoon, and we'd originally planned to just kind of check things out on Saturday, but we kind of rolled up, and it was like, how often do you get Royal Portrush to yourself in major championship conditions? So we ended up playing 9 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday, played some holes today, so we've got a lot of preparation done already.
Have you ventured around and played anywhere else? I know that's obviously something we love to see on social. Or have you been kind of focused mostly on Portrush?
Yeah, that was originally the plan on Saturday, and then like I said, one thing turned into another. But no, not too much. I played the British boys here back in 2018, so I got out to Port Stewart, which is right down the road. From what I remember, that was an amazing track itself. But no, just been out here at Portrush.
What's the first impression of the place?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's beautiful. It's different, right? And I think especially for me and other guys coming from that side of the world, I don't have a whole lot of experience in links golf. It's a lot more of hitting to areas, and obviously there's different shots you're playing that you're not necessarily playing very often in the US. So it's a big adapting thing. That I think that was a big reason that we got out so early on the Saturday, like I said, because it's taken a few days to kind of learn what kind of shots are necessary and when to hit them and what shots you just can't hit around here. Because that's actually a lot of the ones that I use back in the US a lot. So just constantly learning, but I feel like we'll be ready for Thursday.
Yeah, Justin, I mean, you bring up an interesting point about some different golf shots. I mean, I think we think about the modern professional golfer and modern, great amateur player in 2025, like you kind of chip with one club, right? I mean, there's kind of like you hit driver all over the place, and you get over to a golf course like this, and there's so much creativity involved in how you approach it. I mean, are there going to be like driving irons, long irons off certain tees? Are you going to be hitting bump and runs and pulling out a 7 or 8 iron around the greens? Like, do you change anything like that, or do you still kind of stick to the way you operate 51 other weeks of the year?
Yeah, you have to. And I mean, I feel like that's what these good venues over here make you do. For example, from lob wedge to 3 iron in my bag, I draw, and holes 1 to 4. Every single time I have one of those clubs in my hand, I'm cutting it. So like that's just a perfect example of how this golf course will make you hit shots that maybe you aren't that comfortable with. But yeah, like you said, I'm almost 50-50 drivers and 3 irons off the tees this week. And then, I'm still using a lot of 60-degree around the greens, but that's just because I'm so comfortable putting it a foot behind my back foot and just like almost tie spinner-esque, keeping it along the ground that way. That's just a shot that I'm comfortable with. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of opening the face going on. I mean, you lose all the spin on the first bounce anyway. So like I said, just learning to, hit 2 bumpers through the fringes and a lot of putts as well.
Are you using a local caddy this week, or like have you done that at Oakmont, at Augusta? Or do you have a regular guy on the back?
Yeah, I've gotten super fortunate at Oakmont, Augusta with great local guys. Okay. I've got another guy this week. I just met him for the first time today. He's unreal. We had a great time today. We're meshing really well. He caddied in the 2019 Open. He's been on live, so he's kind of been around the European side of things, which I think will be a big help for me. And I think we're gonna have a good little duo going.
Can you compare your experiences at Augusta and Oakmont? I mean, obviously, the Masters is the Masters. Then obviously the U.S. Open, you play well, make the cut, low am. How different did it feel playing, the U.S. Open kind of following playing Augusta, and how did you feel more comfortable maybe at that U.S. Open?
Yeah, I felt worlds more comfortable. I think that's the biggest difference. Obviously, I think the Masters more so than any of the other majors, being your first major is kind of a tough one to step into. And so I got through that week. I felt like I played some quality golf, didn't end up making the cut, but did a lot of things I was proud of. And then I really felt like when the US Open week rolled around, I felt much more at home and just much more comfortable. And I felt like it was easier to kind of just tap into my skills and my game and what I'm good at. And obviously it paid off a little bit better that weekend. I even feel it already this week that I feel much more comfortable. Just silly things like being around the locker room and being, where you're eating and stuff. Like it's a big help to just be confident and comfortable and not have it be your first time. So yeah, it's I'm feeling it get better for sure.
What was the most memorable moment for you there from that weekend there at Oakmont, being the low am?
Yeah, the first one that jumps to my mind is I'm a San Diego State Aztec, and so is JJ Spawn. So to kind of be on that 18th green with the champion, which is so cool in itself, but for him to also be an Aztec, and then I think he knew that as well. It was that was a really cool moment. I waited a while for him to get out of press after the trophy ceremony to get back onto the green so that we can get some photos, and he actually approached me and it seemed like he knew that I was an Aztec and had heard my name before. So that was a cool moment to know that guys like that are still paying attention to the guys coming up. And then, to think that you have a lot of similarities with a guy like that is pretty cool. It's something I'll remember forever.
Justin, do you set goals for weeks like this? I mean, obviously I'm assuming when you're at a US Open Masters, all this stuff, you're trying to be low am. I'm assuming that's probably number one goal, but do you have things you're trying to like check marks you're trying to hit? Or do you just kind of approach it like you're playing a tournament, like you would if you're playing anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every tournament I have little goals. I like to take care of. I try to stay away from the results oriented goals, if you will, just because I think that depends on what other players are doing, and that's one thing you just can't control as a golfer. So the goals I like to set will wait until Tuesday or Wednesday when we kind of have a good idea of how it's going to be, what the weather's going to be, where my game's at, and we'll set goals based on that kind of thing. And they're normally smaller process-based goals. I'll try to stick to 2 or 3. And I've found that when I can get those little things taken care of, it normally leads to some good scores in the end.
What's if Justin Hastings does well this week, he'll have a very good Open Championship?
Yeah, I'd say hits it well off the tee. I'm super comfortable putting right now. Obviously, this length style gives you a little bit of a break on the greens. It's not quite like an Oakmont or an Augusta. Obviously, the wind is a factor, but I grew up in the wind, so I'd like to think I'm pretty comfortable in that sense. But I think that if I can consistently put myself in the fairway and in good places, then I'll have a good week because of my comfort putting and my strength. I like to think is kind of that 120 to 200 range, which is a lot of what we'll see out here. So I think if I can continuously give myself those numbers and then putt to how I believe that I can, I think I'll have a good week.
Justin, I think something I find very interesting is that pros don't really wear a lot of rain gear. I just feel like they just go with the sweater and let it get wet. Are you a rain gear guy? Like, will you be loaded up this week, or do you do no rain gear either?
It's funny you say that. I'm exactly that you described. I really I try to stay away from rain gear. Rain pants is a bit of a different story. Like it's a layer of warmth, if anything. But just something about those rain jackets. The one that I have now, I like and I can swing in. But that being said, if it's not pouring, I'll wear that pullover
just be
until
wet.
it's soaking wet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get you some zero restriction McDonald 20 at checkout.
He does it every show. It's unbelievable. He plugs that in every show. Here we go.
I'm glad you brought it up. I am curious how you believe growing up. I mean, Cayman Islands, it's probably best known for being a tax haven, if we're being completely honest right now. but like growing up in that environment, how you believe that'll translate with success this week and honestly moving forward. Your story is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's similar in ways, but very different in other ways. Like I mentioned, the wind is something I'm comfortable with, and I've grown up in. I mean, the island's 1 mile wide and in the middle of the ocean, so you pretty much get the wind just sweeping across the island at all times. I'd like to think I've played in as much wind as there can be. So throw all the wind that you can at me this week. I'll love it. It's kind of the firmness and the style of golf that is different. Island style golf tends to not be firm at all. So I think a big thing that we've had to adjust to these first couple of days is it's easy to figure out where the ball is going to land, but then understanding that, okay, the ball is going to land here, but it may end up another 7 yards left because the ball is hooking on this 20-mile-an-hour wind. And it's so firm that it's going to take this bounce and roll left. So it's like, you're not quite done once you've figured out where the ball is going to end. And that's obviously a big thing with links golf, but that's something that is new to me. And it definitely took a day or two to figure out. And me and my coaches sat down and understood that that's something that we need to, realize is happening because, that 4 or 5 yards of ground direction change and roll and everything like that can be the difference between 3s and 5s.
Justin, I know obviously the focus this week's on the Open. What are the plans following Portrush? Are we turning pro? Like, what does kind of the rest of your year look like?
Yeah, I turn pro on Sunday. I'll be playing.
Turning on.
Yeah. So this is the last hurrah as an amateur. I'm playing the PGA Tour Americas event in Ottawa, and then I'll finish out the Americas season, the Canadian swing there. So I'll have, I believe it's like 8-ish tournaments. But yeah, going straight to Ottawa and starting the pro career.
Right on. Well, let us be the first to say congratulations. I'm sure we're the first, and no one else has done that yet.
Definitely us.
Shane, you got anything else?
I was just gonna say this has been a really good hair interview. Like, I feel like our hair as a group just looks great. I mean, Justin's is looking good. Patrick, yours always looks good. Yeah, I just feel like this is about as solid as we're gonna get in terms of hair.
It's solid. I'm impressed with us.
There we go.
Any
guys,
product
we did it.
or natural?
Oh, I don't think I've ever put a product in my hair in my life.
Wow.
We don't
That's the breaking news.
We don't either.
That's the breaking news. That's what I wanted to hear. Justin, listen, man, have a great week. We appreciate you taking a few minutes. The rental house, by the way, behind you, I like the setup. It looks like they're having like a party for you behind you. I hope that that continues on through the weekend, and we see you finish up on Sunday. And then good luck with all the pro golf coming forward.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.